Here we are on a Thursday.
Woo.
How's that water, Myra?
Powerful, man. Woo. Oh my gosh. I try to honestly working remotely. Really do not drink as much water as I did in office.
Oh, really?
And I think I've said it on here before when we did the water episode. It's
Oh,
something
yeah.
about that water cooler, that thing just staring at me in the face. One, it's very delicious water. Like if I miss anything about my old work environment, it's the damn water cooler.
It's
I
the
really
water.
like the water. I liked it. And it's like there's something about it, like when you're in an office setting, like you're kind of bored, but not bored. You're just so stimulated. And then there's moments of like, okay, I need to get up and
You
not
need a
sit down
break.
all day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Mm-hmm.
you like move more.
Yeah.
Hell, I got more steps when I worked at the
Yeah.
office. Like I've had to really, since I've started working remotely and being more at home, I never thought I would be in this state of mind, but I've had to like really get myself back into like, am I moving my body enough? Am I drinking enough water? And it's been really interesting, just being at home all the time versus going out. Like there's just something about and even when I worked in the office and would come home on the weekends, I definitely didn't drink as much water as I
On the
did in
week.
the office.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the weekends as I did on the office. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I need the peer pressure of the water cooler.
Apparently,
And I
maybe you
love
need a water
water.
cooler in your house.
Yeah, you know how much water I used to drink. And then during
Yeah.
those damn challenges, I was like a balloon, like I was like, keep on keeping. And now Blake calls it my emotional support cup
Yeah.
because I just like
He's
hold
just like
it.
your whoopee.
Yeah, he's like, is it
Just
just like
suck it around.
osmosis? Honestly, he tells me I do that with books too because I love to read, but then I'm one of those people when I get out of habit of it and I've got a book that I've been staring at for over a year and I'm halfway through and I just carry it around. And then this is that thing where you start scrolling or watching a show,
Yep.
or whatever. So
Yeah.
Blake tells me I read through osmosis.
You just put it up to your heart.
Your
Like,
heart, yeah.
share
Like,
the story with me, book.
please let me know what I need to know. So,
Well, that's hilarious.
yeah, I'll roast myself any day. I need to obviously read and drink more water. And those things make me happy. So
Yeah.
it's just the intentional stuff of life. But
Yeah.
that's not what we're here for today. But yeah, I definitely, I was trying to drink water for the episode because I do, like we talked about, you drinking
Yeah.
more water, you receive more inspiration. It's
You
just
do.
all so
Yep.
connected. And I have physically felt the difference in episodes or when I'm trying to share things. Like I don't flow I mean, seriously, it's a whole thing. Like, so I'm like, I gotta
Yeah, I
drink some
believe
more
it.
water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Like I've already had a gallon of water today because it's 5:30 my time. But when we've done episodes in the morning and I haven't had the
Hmm.
opportunity, right?
Yeah.
I do feel like it was harder for me to allow that flow, that
Hmm.
information to just come in.
Yeah.
So,
I feel spacey.
hmm,
Probably because I mean, there's a lot of fact. Like water helps your brain. You think
yeah,
better. It's just like the best thing in the world. And it's so essential for life in general.
yeah.
And like I can even feel myself get tongue-tied when I haven't drank
When you
enough
don't have,
water.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So
drink your water, people.
drink your water. PSA for water.
It's
Sponsor
right.
us,
Sponsor
brewmate.
us, you free. Yeah, yeah, exactly. We both have those.
I know. I went into work one day and was a walking ad for this
Yes, you were.
freaking cup. So
I have one
brewmate.
here, one at work.
Yeah, I got the whole
I bought
gang
them
on
as
it, man.
gifts.
I love them. They're still my favorite. The rest come
Yeah.
out, and this is my tried and true now.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I love it too.
It's the best one.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, keep us in mind for sponsorships out there.
Call us roommate.
But today we're here to talk about something other than water. We did an episode week before last, I believe,
Hmm.
because last week's was judgment, which was great,
Hmm.
on the vibrational scale of consciousness. And so today I just really was thinking about that energy of the neutral space that's kind of midpoint in the vibrational scale of consciousness. I think it's, if you're looking at the numbers, I think it's 250 on there as the
Hmm.
frequency level. But it really is like the space that is kind of the point between the lower energies on there, like fear, shame, anger,
Hmm.
and then the higher expanded energies, love, joy, and peace. And I just, sometimes think we don't think about neutrality as a powerful space. So I think it gets overlooked. It seems maybe like some people view it as passive or indifferent, and
Mm-hmm.
it can be that, I suppose. But I think neutrality gives us such a cool space to make a determination on how we're going to identify with a situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gives us that if you take a minute to just stay neutral, regardless of
Mm-hmm.
whatever's going on, you can potentially be less triggered by it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you don't make it personal. You can go, this is in alignment with who I am. You give it a different definition, even if it's a tougher season. Um, and then this is making my energy feel really expanded or really contracted, which I want to get into as well.
Mm-hmm.
This moment feels true, or it feels safe, or it feels whatever, peaceful. Or maybe you even, when you're in that neutral space, I feel afraid or I feel angry. But from that level of neutrality, you start to determine what that is underneath that's even causing how you're feeling about the situation. And it comes back to something that we continue to talk about, and that I don't think we can say enough, or that people can hear enough. And it gives you a little bit of time to have awareness, is what it does. It gives you time to have awareness if you can be in that neutral state and not go into a reactive energy and not go into a passive energy, and just let yourself sit there for a minute. I wrote this down. I think neutrality gives us a choice, and it is where transformation can start to begin, because it gives us a minute where we stop identifying with the story and we could potentially start to identify with just an observation, right? You're not already in the story. You
Yes.
just take a minute and you become an observer. And I would be such a liar, which I don't lie, or do my very best not to, if I sat here and said
Mm-hmm.
that every situation in my life I was able to set in a neutral position. I'm not. In fact, I had a situation today at work where
Mm-hmm.
I wish I was able to sit there as an observer, but I went straight up reactive, a little bit of explosive, if I'm being honest, because I didn't give myself the time to sit in that neutral space. I took it personally, attacked to a degree, and I kind of came out like a little bit of a caged lion. I will say this though, because I've practiced this so much, I was able,
Mm-hmm.
halfway through the dialogue, maybe 2 to 3 minutes into the conversation of me being reactive, I really was able to take a breath and come back during the conversation. And
Mm-hmm.
then as I got away from the situation, I could even kind of digest it a little bit more. The more you can be aware and the more you can practice the neutrality, the quicker, even when you're not in neutrality, you can maybe bring yourself back to that state, because you've been practicing it, right? You become more aware of it. I could feel when I was in that reactive state, my voice changed. My body language was not
Mm-hmm.
pleasant for people, probably. Wasn't pleasant for me. So those little
I'm
things kind of gave me signs. What's so funny, Myra? I want to hear your perspective on this.
laughing because I'm like, damn, I wish I was there. Which is terrible. See, look, I'm not all peace and butterflies either, right? Like, I'm like,
You
shit, I
like
wish I
seeing
was in the
crazy, Tressa?
office. Like, I do. Well, it's not
Do
often. It's
you
not
miss that side
often.
of me?
I do, but I miss
Mm-hmm.
it because, like, you were my mama bear too, you know? So I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, what was this about? Like, but it's hard. It's hard. I mean, just like I talked about a couple episodes ago, like, seriously, when you're in these types of, I mean, every role in any job, you feel like your character is on the line, or you as a person. Like, people struggle so hard with separating. And
Yep.
I used this
Yeah.
language the other week. You got to look at it as a role and not a person, because it gets so messy and so tricky when you start saying things like, well, even when you're assigning stuff, let's not even, not even talking about like calling something out. Like, when you start assigning things to people and you're like, okay, well, instead of saying the paid team or paid media or whatever, email market, or I don't even know, whatever, account coordinator, you start saying things like, well, Tressa will do this and Tressa can handle this and da 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 da. the language in that we speak already puts trust of the person in it. So then when somebody comes to you and you're like, hey, this didn't work, or this doesn't look right, or what the heck happened here, it almost feels like trust of the person is under attack when you're not really, but it feels that way. And so,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I honestly, there should be just a neutrality in the work environment in general. Like, I could talk about it all day because I feel like line stuff gets so messy when you start. Oh no, I went dark. I'm in the dark ages.
You're in the
But
dark
things get
ages
so
now.
messy. For those who watch this, you'll see. Yeah, I don't know what to do. I'm kind of.
Myra's beautification light just
Will
went
you give
out.
me a
I could
second?
still
Can I
see you.
turn the?
Yeah,
It
I
just
could still.
died.
Yeah,
Can you see me? I feel like
I
I'm
can.
like
I
in the
mean, you're
dark.
definitely darker, but it's not like I can't tell who you are. Yeah, do you want to bring your blind up? Oh, there you go.
I
There you
just
go.
opened the window.
There you go. It's better.
I could turn on a light. Yeah, okay. Light will find me. Light will find me. But for those who are watching, you'll get to visibly witness this unless AI cuts it out. So, anywho,
It's true. May it
I
edits well.
just feel like, yeah. So, but what I was going to say though, too, with along the lines, like I had written some stuff down when we were first discussing this episode, and I love what you said about witnessing a situation because it's true. You're witnessing a situation rather than absorbing it, like taking it all in, attaching yourself to a situation. And then it's all about an emotional balance. When you're in this neutral energy, you're not overly reactive, but you don't want to be numbed out, which Tress is talking about, like the
Right.
passive energy. You don't want to be just cold, but it's also a space where you're setting healthy boundaries too, where you don't really need to dominate it or be submissive. It's just a very neutral environment. And, I feel like it's one of those things like where when I'm talking to people, um, because a lot of people, for example, flock to me for advice. Obviously, this is a fun night. So, anyways, obviously, people want to talk to me, or my dogs want to be near me and break toys beside me. But people call me, and they're like,
Yeah.
hey, Myra, this is happening, or hey, this is going on, or whatever is happening in life. And I've really, really found myself using language like that's interesting. And honestly, like when you're talking to me about this, that came up in my mind, like, how am I playing neutral in situations like,
Mm-hmm.
I think when I say things like, oh, that's interesting, because then I'm not really, this is just one phrase, right? Like, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not really giving meaning. I'm not really attaching to what people are telling me is going on in their life. I'm not really shifting. I'm not reacting. Or if they're trying to pick a fight with me, because that happens too. I don't know. People are really great at that. They're like, oh, let's just pick a fight with, I mean, you've probably been in many of those situations where you can totally tell
Oh, yeah.
somebody's calling just hot for no reason. And you're like,
Yeah.
or you interact with people or whoever you see. I see no one, so people have to call me, but because I live in this dungeon in darkness, right?
Yeah.
But I was thinking like when you're in this neutral state, it goes back to what we talk about. You're more in a place of surrender. You're not trying to control situations. You're not reacting to control. You're not being passive. You're really staying in this even playing field. Or there's no really binary way of thinking. Like Tressa talks about it all the time. You're not giving labels to it. There's no right or wrong, good or bad. You're not really giving it any sort of meaning. And I feel like too, when I'm in a neutral state, for me personally, I'm releasing that form of people pleasing or being the perfectionism, being perfect. I think about the way I react in ways, and especially with my mom's a great example. And we now established before this call, she'll never listen to this episode,
So
but
this is safe
my
space
mom's
to
a
talk
great
about it.
example. I feel like, yeah, this is it right here because she ain't, I'm just, but no, it's like, I think about like when she's wanting something from me, because my mom is very passive aggressive in dialogue. And so it's like she's wanting a reaction out of me. And when I'm in a neutral state, before I probably was trying to people please or for her, because she's my mom, before I really established healthy boundaries, or I've been reactive and started fighting, I would have let it totally triggered me. And then I would have fought with her. Then it would have been a cycle. Then there would have been a guilt trip, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
the whole dialogue would have just been the whole thing would have been ruined, right? It would just been like, nah, this is not it. And so like honestly, it's kind of like this being the Switzerland
Yeah.
of energy is when you're in this
Yeah.
neutral
I love
state,
that.
So I think about that, like when I'm in a lot of conversations with her. I've totally found myself saying that's interesting. And I'm not, and I mean it. Like, oh, that's interesting. Like, okay, and and especially my family really loves to gossip. Like, it's a pastime, it's a hobby, it's an Olympic
Yeah.
sport. And I'm just being honest. And so when people are calling me to chit chat about Jimmy John throwing something and hitting Cindy Lou Who's head, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then, like, you can feel it. Like, they're like, okay, well, whatever. But it's really not giving in to that energy of what they're trying to push on me or what they want from me. I'm in that neutral state too. So when I think about your situation today and interactions with people, then that's where it's led me to
Yeah.
and myself.
It's interesting you talk about that because I think that that is so true when you say like somebody's sharing something with you and they're in a heightened
Hmm.
state, right? When you can stay in that neutrality, and I love the terms you're using, like, oh, that's really interesting, or thanks for sharing that experience, or
Hmm.
they usually don't get served, meaning they want you to have a reaction with them. I
Exactly.
found that in my own with my own relationships, as I've tried to be highly aware of like what energy am I going to put out, and I'm responsible for that,
Hmm.
like gossiping or going into a lower vibration about somebody, and it's really ended a lot of conversations with people because I'm not giving
Exactly.
them the reaction. I'm not like, oh my God, I can't believe that Susie Lou
Yeah.
did that. I don't, the less I go there, the less a lot of people talk to me, to be quite honest.
Yeah. People
I
stop
mean,
calling me.
that's part of it. You got to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to serve
They don't get
whatever
it.
that is. So, it's good to have that awareness because no matter what you put out, you get back.
Exactly.
It will always be
100%.
that way. So it can't be, well, poor Myra, she called me. Of course I had to, the only way I can love Myra and be Myra's friend is to get down in the trenches with her,
Hmm.
and that isn't the truth, but we're
Mm.
so used to going into that energy with the people that we love, right? And so it's again, none of this stuff's easy. It's
No.
going back to having that awareness. And today when I got away from the situation, there you go to the next level of, well, if you want to, you can go to the next level of that triggered me and why. Now, I could stay at the
Exactly.
superficial space and tell you I'm tired of my team getting called out on shit. I could say that, but
Hmm.
that's still superficial. That could be
Hmm.
somewhat true, but there's something underneath that for me personally, there's a personal thing that triggered within me. And that's getting down to that root cause that we keep talking about, right? And
Hmm.
for me, it didn't take me long because I've struggled with this for a while.
Hmm.
I come up and I feel this sense of worthiness and this sense of intelligence and value.
Hmm.
And then sometimes I drop back down. Like, am I doing a
Hmm.
good enough job? I put
Yeah.
it back on me. It comes back to my own
Hmm.
worthiness, trusting my own self. And
Hmm.
so today I went into that space and I got defensive. And that's why, at the root cause, that's why.
Hmm.
But the cool part about it is it showed me again, you have a little more work to do here. Have you been doing great? And there's been many, many weeks and days where you haven't had to see this? Yes. But what was funny? When I kind of had that sense of realization of the root cause,
Hmm.
I thought about my morning prayer this morning, our morning intention.
Hmm.
I was like, well, you kind of asked for this, Trissa, because I
Hmm.
said at the end of my intention, universe, bring me a small miracle today. Now, was that my miracle because it gave me a whole other level of awareness? Yeah, I think it was. I didn't
Hmm.
say a miracle that brings me joy.
Yeah.
I'm
You
going to
didn't,
play with those words. I didn't say a
you
miracle that
weren't
made me laugh.
specific. You weren't
I
specific.
was, I kind of laughed and I felt that energy of like, they served me this. I asked for this because
Hmm.
I do want a miracle. I do want to continue growing. And without that, seeing that side of myself, I won't. So I kind of giggled about that a little bit. Like, don't know if I'll ask for that again. No, you know what I'm going to ask for? I'm going to do it tomorrow, but I'm going to say that I want to have a miracle that is just pure. It comes with ease and grace and joy and laughter.
There you go.
And we'll see what happens.
That's what you need to have been saying this whole time. Get it together. Duh.
Get it
Be
together.
specific. You can't be out here saying, I want a miracle. And then they're like, I want to show you something.
That was hilarious. There you are.
I don't, guys, I have no idea. And
We
I feel
may or may
great. You
not
know what? This is going to
see
be
Myra on
amazing.
this episode.
We may not. This, as long as I got an audio track somewhere, y'all
Yeah,
can
because
listen
I
to me. I'll be
heads up,
non-existent on
Myra's
YouTube.
recording will continue on a new track. Did you
I
see
don't
that?
even know. Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
know what
even know
that
what
is.
I did.
Yeah, I don't know. But anywho, we'll figure it out.
So much fun.
We'll
I'll
have
find
audio.
it. Listen, I find a way. Y'all have no idea how much random.
Oh,
I'm back. I don't
now
know.
you're back.
Hilarious at this point. I think it's funny. I
I
don't know
think
what
it's
it's
funny
doing,
too.
but
Me neither, because you've got
well,
like it's not your connection.
no, I have like the best
Mm-mm.
connection I've ever had on any.
Mm-hmm.
Like my episodes have been
You got
flawless.
fiber,
Like,
so
yeah,
like your
it's been
internet's
rocking.
like
It's not my internet.
solid.
I think it's Riverside. But you know
Yeah.
what? This is about being in flow. They're trying to get
Yes.
us,
Yeah. We're not.
and
We're not giving up, people.
I'm not giving up. Um, but yeah, no, you're right. And I feel like, when we talk about the relationships and people and places, it's so interesting, like the way those dynamics start shifting when you're not giving them what they're asking for. And then
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that 100%. I can feel people shifting out of my life when our connection isn't that I was there for them in a way that only served them. And I allowed it though. I
Yeah.
totally
Yeah,
allowed
for
that.
sure. Yeah.
But I can see that shifting. And then, too, like when you start looking down, I've been doing that more too, looking not down, but inward when I've stopped and asked myself when I'm triggered or when I'm reactive, because I honestly really I don't know what magic has in my life, but I have seriously been more zen neutral, at least neutral, like I've
Mm-hmm.
really, 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 but I have found myself, and the other day we lost Drakey's binky. We shouldn't even be using one. And so whatever, don't mom shame me on here later, folks, but it is what it is. And he likes one specific binky. Like it's smoothed out. It's literally like the texture at this point because we've bought 45 of them, the same ones, and he will not take another one. And truly, I think, again, this even is a lesson in life. Probably it's time to let it go, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
this is time to move on. We need to move on. Like it's not working out. We've tried 45 different ways. I'm resisting it.
Yeah.
I'm ignoring it, right? But the story also holds a message because Blake and I started fighting, like borderline ready to divorce over a binky, I start like blaming him that he lost the binky because I work remote and my kids are, especially in the summer and here, and I've had help on and off, but I'm mostly by myself. And so I'm with the kids all day and I'm working all day and I'm doing my thing and having a party. And Blake comes home and I'm like, hey, I'm going to go fill my car with gas so I can have peace. Little joys in life, filling your car with gas.
Yeah. I get it.
So
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to go get some gas. And I went and got a coffee, whatever. And I was having the time of my life, right? I even went and scratch offs are here in North Carolina. I was like, okay, if I could just feel what it feels like to win this lottery ticket, I believe it. I believe it. Because usually when I buy a lottery ticket, I'm like, there's no way I'm winning or whatever,
Uh-huh.
or like, I'm like, oh, I'm just going to do. I won. I won on all three of them.
You
And it
did?
wasn't like I won like
Yeah.
$25 total. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like a
Yeah. But
millionaire.
still.
But
Yeah.
I'm like, thank you, universe. It worked. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, it's working, right? So I was super jazzed. I came in all happy. It was like a piece. And then this binky's missing, right? So then we start like attacking, but we start attacking each other over a binky, and it became a pissing contest basically, like, oh, when I'm with the kids this doesn't happen over a binky. Like this isn't like their survival or their brain or their health or
Yeah.
safety. This is over a binky, love. I mean, it was dramatic. Tressa, we went to bed angry at each other over a binky. You know how silly that is. And when he woke up this morning, he's like, what was even like, why were we even upset? But like, it wasn't the binky.
Yeah.
It really never was anything. Honestly, by the time we went to bed, it wasn't even the binky. I think we had just committed to being mad or being like
Yeah.
snarky.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like we're like attacking each
Yeah.
other's characters over a fucking binky. And like, oh, of course you're not responsible. I mean, just horrible, right? And it made me really think like, well, what was I even mad about? And it's like, I really think that ultimately, and it all goes back to myself. What was I really even mad about? And he was mad too, but he wasn't even mad a thing. He was just mad that it happened, right? Like, oh my gosh, my sleep's destroyed. You know what I mean? Like, we were both
Mm-hmm.
like in this
Yeah.
craziness. But like, when was thinking about why did I even act that way? Why was I even, and I really honestly, for me, I think I just wanted to like, it all goes back to making it about me and making it about, okay, well, I'm mad that I'm at home alone. I'm upset that I'm responsible for people all day long and I leave for 2 seconds and this object gets lost. That's really what I was feeling in the moment. Blake didn't make me feel this way. Nobody made me feel this way. This is on me. So there's
Mm-hmm.
something going on, right? Like there's things I needed to address. Is it my peace of mind? Is it boundaries? Is it time? Is it, does Draco need to go somewhere? Or do I need help? Like, there's other ways to comfort that. And then the way we were reacting and talking, I just, honestly, I really think I just wanted to feel something. Like, that's so silly. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to fight, to have an emotion because I had been, I don't even know. And so we were both like in this crazy space. And that's been so not normal we don't really even act like that, like that's
Mm-hmm.
not anymore. Not anymore. There have definitely been times in the marriage, like that we've
Yeah.
acted ridiculous and silly, and people have these moments in marriage and fun times, right? Party. But, it was just one of those things that kind of really made me think, like, wow, it's so easy to just shift in and out of it. And it's always the problem. Like you said, the problem's never really the problem. It's not about
Mm-hmm.
a binky. It's about myself and me having an issue with my own self. And then I needed to take it out on someone else.
Yeah. Yeah, it was almost like as you were telling me that, it was like my one of my initial thoughts was you might need a little more time to have just peace.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so maybe it was helping you recognize that because you left to find some peace and quiet in a sense. You found it. You found some joy in your coffee and your lottery
My
wins,
scratch
and then
offs. Yeah.
you walk into chaos,
Mm-hmm.
and you're relying on, you have an expectation of Blake being your mate
Yeah.
to kind of, understand what you need without even saying it. And that's where we get off track so often too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're doing the right thing, kind of going, okay, what is this telling me about me?
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably, maybe you need a little more Myra time because you need
Oh,
that
yeah, for sure.
and some
And
peace and
not through
quiet.
osmosis. Yeah.
Yeah, not through osmosis. I don't think it works that way. Yeah.
It doesn't.
And yeah, it kind of goes into, I want to talk a little bit about like feeling the energy, whatever you're feeling. Is it feeling restrictive or is it feeling expansive?
Mm-hmm.
When it feels constrictive, like I felt completely constricted today. I even said, when I started in that energy, I was kind of like a caged animal. I felt like I had to
Mm-hmm.
attack something, which was very constrictive. It wasn't expansive at all. Expansive energy should feel, I mean, basically what the word says, open, light, spacious, free, aligns with states of joy and peace and love and acceptance, those
Mm-hmm.
kind of things. Constrictive energy feels tight, heavy, closed, pressure. I felt pressure when I was in that moment. It aligns with lower states of vibration like fear and shame, guilt, anxiety. So it was, you talked a little bit about feeling the energy of what it would feel like to win on your scratch offs. And you
Mm-hmm.
sat there and felt that energy. That's an expansive energy, right? That
Mm-hmm.
felt expansive versus, feeling like, oh, I never win, blah, blah, blah. And you're
Yeah.
bitching as you're using your quarter to find out, yeah, you are a loser.
Yeah. No, I'm out
You
of
called it right.
$12 or whatever. Yeah.
But that, just feeling that, like, am I feeling expansive or am I feeling contractive?
Mm-hmm.
And when you're feeling contractive, no, you got to dig a little bit deeper as to what is that contractive energy. And so you went from a feeling of expansive energy to when you walked into that space, you started to feel contractive energy.
Attractive.
And you did what people do. We all have done this and you're going to continue to do it, throughout your life. You went into that constrictive energy.
Mm-hmm.
And the cool part is, and one of the things that I will continue to say is, being gracious with yourself. The one thing I did not do to myself today is I didn't shame myself. I didn't
Mhm.
tell myself, put myself down. I didn't do any of that, nor did I even feel it. I felt like, okay, this is just the next level of awareness of a trigger of something that now that I see it, I can start to really shift it even more. There was no berating myself, no, you're stupid, shouldn't have acted that way, none of that. And so I think giving yourself grace in these moments, right? It's like you said, you both just made a commitment to being pissed and you stuck with it, right?
Mhm.
And then this morning you woke up and you're like, what was that about?
Yeah, that was
That was
fun.
fun.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay, that was ridiculous. Yeah. No, you're right. And I think like, gosh, I think about the way like being contractive feels. And I honestly, even as simple as time, being rushed, feeling overwhelmed,
Mm-hmm.
feeling trapped, feeling like, and I had was talking to Tressa before I like I mentioned, I do work remote. I do have my children home with me. I do have a lot of responsibility in my job, and it got even crazier a couple weeks ago when I'm the only I mean, I have a director, but he's over like seven other people, and they all do different things. Like they don't do what I do. I'm the only person technically doing what I do. And I do have help, I guess, but I really, really felt last week super trapped. And I don't do well feeling trapped in general. Like, that's just, I'm not that person. I cannot, no. And I felt really trapped and I felt really rushed, or like I was saying yes to avoid conflict a lot too. And that happens often when I'm dealing with certain people or certain
Mm-hmm.
situations, and I've had a lot going on, and I've mentioned like this has been a really busy last 3 weeks. And then this week was my normalcy. Like I'm back in my regular scheduled programming, we're back on air.
Yeah.
And I made one change because I was tired of feeling rushed. Like, oh, I'm waking up and then I got to hurry and jump in the shower. And I mean, that was, I probably still had some of those feelings yesterday lingering because, they didn't just go
Mm-hmm.
away.
Yeah.
But this week, I made a commitment to start waking up 2 hours earlier than what Draco wakes up. Now, don't get me wrong. Normally, I wake up at this time anyways. I normally wake up around 5 or 6 a.m., depending on life. In the summer, because I've been with my kids and we're waking up and I work remote, I don't have a commute. I've definitely been sleeping until 8. And, maybe my body did need that. I've been going through a lot of things. I've had to entertain a lot of people. I've hosted a million and one parties. I never want to do that again. I've had to be present physically in a work environment, face to face, all day long. If anyone's ever been a part of a corporate on-site, they're really, really, really heavy. And so dealing with the heaviness of that, dealing with all the bizarre crap going on in my personal life, and then all these people showing up, I've been feeling really exhausted. So I probably needed the sleep. And I honor that. I'm not mad at sleeping in. I'm not upset with that. For me, I feel like I needed it. But then it impacted this week. It started causing it was gone on too long. Like there was a level of, okay, you needed it, you felt it,
Mm-hmm.
now let's move forward. But I made one change. I started getting up early. So then the rest of my days, this whole week, I have literally killed it. I've killed it. Oh my gosh, like my work performance has been better. My parenting has been better. My wife duties minus the binky, was been better. Wife, I don't even know what wife duties are.
Minus
I'm
the
making that up.
lip.
I have
Yeah.
no damn wife duty. I mean, I don't know. I've been nice. Okay. I've
I
been
get it.
nice. Like we've been joy. We've been joy, joy, la la, whatever that is, like, but I noticed it even more during my workday. I wasn't reactive towards my kids. I wasn't reactive towards Blake. I wasn't reactive at work, or I didn't feel like an octopus with 100
Mm-hmm.
arms going like this, just by waking up and changing. So I moved out of it. When I moved out of that contractive energy or constrictive energy, and I didn't feel rushed or overwhelmed or like, oh my God, I've been so much more expansive. And when I felt expansive, I've freaking been amazing. Like, I feel great. Time feels spacious. I don't feel rushed. I feel open. I'm, doing things that I want to do because I want to do it. And my writing's been better. Like I said, my work performance has been better. It's been just great. Like,
Mm-hmm.
um, really been writing a lot of content from the heart, and a lot of that went live, and I felt really great about it. And I wrote something with like feeling at peace around finances, and they picked it. And I totally thought they weren't going to pick it because I used the word peace, like peace, feeling peaceful. And that's the one they went
Yeah.
with. And so I'm like, okay,
That's cool. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh. And it just was that simple change, for me personally. And so my whole energy shifted. My days have shifted. Obviously, life doesn't change in seconds, with like your energy levels and your habits and being reactive and, we're not perfect. So there was those residual feelings, but ultimately my days have been okay. They've really felt
Hmm.
more open and expansive, and my week's gone 10 times better than it has in the last couple weeks.
Yeah, I think a couple of things there. One is you said you don't do well when you feel trapped. And I just want to expand on that. No one does well when they feel trapped. No one, because trapped energy is very constrictive energy. So no one will prosper, no one will grow. There won't be a level of peace or harmony ever in that trapped energy for any of us. And the thing that I love that you're talking about is you recognized something needed to shift. You recognized it. And then you took an action. You're like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get up earlier. And you saw that it worked, right? You made a change because everything goes back to action. Sitting there, we talk about the hamster wheel, right? Sitting there being like, this isn't quite working for me, and taking no action will never shift your energy into a more expansive place. That's where people go into the victim energy, and so many people live there, and that is such a constrictive, restrictive space to be. But you took some type of power. You took your power back in a sense and said, okay, this is one thing I can do. And I'm going to make that change. And then you're seeing how your days have shifted, how things are showing up for you differently because of that one thing that you were able to do. But it took action, right? It took action. And so there is always an action to it. Today, after that whole thing, the first thing I did is I was like, I have to release some energy, and I'm not going to release it on someone. So I went and got in my car, and I just screamed, screamed in my car to release the energy I could feel, right? And then I'm like, okay, now I'm going to go get me a coffee because I love coffee.
Hey, look.
And then, regrouped. So, but there was an action there. That's why, I think we've talked about this before. Animals naturally do this. If they've been in a fight or flight situation in the wild, they've been chased or whatever, when you watch the interaction end, if they didn't get killed by whatever's chasing them, they shake their bodies because they're shaking out the energy. And so we have to learn ways to release the energy as well, and not just let it be pent up in our bodies, right? And so there always has to be, to shift your energy from constrictive energy to expansive energy, there is action you have to take, and there can be action in mindsets, right? There could be action in the physical body. There could be action in what you're saying, giving yourself a different time frame. There is action. And so you have to start to think about, what action can I do to shift my energy? And ultimately it comes back to the biggest thing that we talk about, having awareness and being willing to sit with that awareness. And that kind of comes back into to kind of bring a full circle, sitting in that neutrality space.
Yeah, totally agree.
So, yeah. Well, any other comments anything you want to say before we end our episode today?
Yeah, the only other thing that came to mind too is just the feeling of always being on. I know, I mean, I know you relate to that, but I know there's others out there that relate to that. Like the sense of being on. Like whether it's on and present for your people, your family, your friends, your job, life, whatever clubs, whatever you're a part of, and that can be so overwhelming, and that can lead to that feeling trapped and being in this, restrictive energy. And, those pressures are only what you put on yourself too. You know what I mean? Like there's this is again taking back your power, owning your energy, protecting your energy, taking back your energy, shifting in time. It's the taking the action piece. And I feel like ways to shift that to, I call it like time blocking, because it's easy to feel like everything is always urgent. Everything always has to be done right this second, and da 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 da. But when I've stopped treating things like these fires all the time, or like these things that need my attention exactly right then, everything has started to flow into my life a lot differently. And so I agree. And it's being aware and sitting with the feelings of neutrality and just really trying to not look at things, like I said in the beginning and what you were saying too, where instead of absorbing it, you're just witnessing it. And so you don't, like, that also feels to
Mhm.
me like being on when you're absorbing it all the time too, like you are inserting yourself into every little thing that's a part of control and not really letting go either. And so being in that neutral state, you don't have to always be on. You don't have to always be the one, life can move forward,
Yeah. I think it also, yeah, that's so true. We can't be on all the time, but
Hmm.
we're so used and we're used to it and we're programmed to be that way,
Hmm.
especially in America.
Hmm.
Hustle, hustle, hustle. That's the mindset here, right? To win, to have money, to be successful, you got to have hustle all the time. No one can sustain that. I
No.
mean, it's just not sustainable. People, you know, even on drugs, it's not sustainable.
No.
I just was thinking of the Wolf of Wall Street for some reason. Because I
That's
mean,
funny. Yeah.
it was like, hey, what were they doing?
Yeah,
To be on
exactly.
and hustling.
On.
But it kind of goes back to that self-care and how often throughout the day are you allowing yourself breath? Are you
Hmm.
allowing yourself the meditation time? Are you allowing yourself that self-care that you have to show up fully and be present? And we're not good at it in general. You have to carve out that time and make it a priority, or you will have you'll have deeper levels of the burnout. You'll have
Hmm.
deeper levels of it. You still may have it even doing that, but it helps you to become more aware and it helps you to go into the neutral state when you're training for it, right? And part of that is your self care. So, self care, people.
Self-care.
Big proponent.
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens with this episode. You may or may not see Myron.
I don't know. Wish me luck in the editing room, aka this exact room.
But until next time, keep your vibrations high or
And stay
neutral.
or neutral, yeah, and stay sassy or not. Be calm.